Hey, Cash, these better be some good ass news stories. All this shit happened this week.
Well, we doing something different in light of wrapping
Are we
up.
doing something different? Okay.
Yeah, we're doing something different. We're gonna do news, but it's not your traditional news. It's going to be what we kind of did last week, where we look at scenarios and look what went wrong. I think we will enjoy this in light of reading or wrapping up Tim Larkin's When Violence is the Answer. I figured we spend the first couple of minutes or so just watching news segment on violent encounters. So you guys can see my screen.
I can see a screen. This would be cool. This is different.
This is different.
And attacked employees inside the popular Black Rock restaurant on Hall Road. This video shows what went on inside the restaurant. Mara McDonald live in Utica, and Mara, both the manager and another employee ended up being punched in the face.
Devin, they were. And, you know, here's the thing. This restaurant is doing everything it can to keep its workers and its customers safe. They've lowered their density. If you're waiting for a table, they ask that you wait outside, that you only come in the lobby and stand on little, X's when your table is ready. Hand sanitizer all over the place. You're required to wear masks. They have this whole protocol.
Well,
on July 10th, a group of 9 poured it all.
The surveillance video you see here is the end of what turned into a nightmare for workers at Black Rock. A man refusing to put his mask over his nose and mouth starts throwing punches. Tonight, the Utica police ask if you know him, they'd like to hear from you.
All right, fellas. So as you can see, store managers trying to tell a group of young men, put the mask on. They ain't trying to hear it. And my man, one of the suspects, suckers punched the store manager. As a store manager, how would you handle this situation?
As a store manager, how would I handle it?
You could
okay,
answer.
Go ahead, Black Zeus.
You could, respond to the video however you want. I just wanted to,
Okay.
Yeah, you got, respond to it however you want.
I mean, as far as sucker punch things, somebody can't sucker punch you if you keep them at a distance. My whole thing is that, if he noticed that the person was non-cooperative and they seem to be speaking aggressively or making, gestures, facial expressions they're adjusting, he should have, made sure he controlled the space between him and this other dude. It's kind of like it's like when I'm teaching the boxing class, I tell people all the time, you control the space between you and your opponent. You never let your opponent control the space between you and them. All right. So the whole thing is that's where they made their mistake, is the fact of like, they probably and once again, this is a skill that, people have to get through experience of how to read a situation. But the whole thing is the manager didn't know how to read the situation and left himself open to being sucker punched.
Yeah, the other part right now, like that shit is happening a lot on airlines right now with these mass disputes. But at the end of the day, restaurants have to right now put somebody at the door before they're coming in. So they shouldn't even got that far into the restaurant, you know what I mean? To get that far in. And like Black Zeus said, that proximity is like, if you already see that the customer is being irate and you already see that it's about to go to that next level, he shouldn't have got that close to him. You know what I mean? So he didn't deserve to get punched in the face, but he didn't read Tim Larkin's book either. So
yeah, that's what.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he should have read the book. If you're working in a restaurant, you're dealing with patrons, motherfucker. You know that anytime there could be an act of violence, like you're in the restaurant business, anytime there could be a motherfucking irate customer that just wants to go there. So.
Yeah, I think there's always strength in numbers, man. Like personally, I would assess how hostile the customers were, and I would have had one or two of my employees with me. Like I'm not trying to confront, two or more guys by myself in a restaurant. It's just like
But you still could have got punched though. You still could have got punched.
Here's the two things about that.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter about numbers.
Here's the two problems with that. One is the fact that as the manager, you might say, yeah, you might have got 2 or 3 employees, but the whole thing is your employees, that wanted to be a waiter or wanted to be a bartender had no desire of being security.
Exactly.
So all right, you're right.
That's a little bit flawed right there.
Yeah,
and then
secondly, very flawed.
And secondly, on the other side of the situation is that I believe they said there was 9 people.
Yeah.
That were coming into the restaurant.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is like that 9 people, depending on how they built,
That's a game.
That's kind of a game.
Tom, that's time for Schubert, time for Smith. Cash, you got 30 seconds left. I've been saying Tom, he's just saying.
You was muted. We didn't hear you because you was muted.
You can go ahead. Go ahead. You can go ahead if you got anything, Kels.
Maybe I was muted. My bad.
Yeah, we didn't hear you, motherfucker. Like, you gotta listen. You gotta stop eating the oatmeal, bitch, and you gotta be focused. We're in the meeting now.
See, what I thought was gonna happen was once Schubert spoke, and then Smith spoke, and then Cash spoke, that I was gonna get my turn. But clearly, I didn't know I was just a moderator today. So that's what's up, though. I'm glad that all y'all went first. So I could just respond. Schubert, I agree with you.
You got 10 seconds left with all that talking you just did. You just saying 10 seconds left.
No, we jumped it up. We get
no.
We
You got 10 seconds left. You
bro.
wasted your time. You got 10 seconds left.
But I agree. I agree with the little space. Cash, I don't know, man. I think it's the manager, maybe because he's getting paid more, would confront that situation. But if I'm a minimum wage worker, I'm like, nigga, I'm not going with you. I'm not risking fighting or having these niggas come back for minimum wage, bro. This nigga want to have his mask off. It's fine. They about to lift the ban anyway, even though the story might have been a little bit long ago. And niggas about to lift the ban anyway. I got my shot, so that nigga's just going to have his motherfucking mask off. And even if I didn't have a shot, if I'm in the homeboy situation, damn, I don't get paid enough for this. Now y'all niggas know how I work. And they might, all right, nigga, I'm going to see you when you get off. Nah, I ain't got no time for all of that.
I don't know.
Well, at the end of the day,
you guys are right. I just saw strength in numbers. But that's what my mentality is. This is like one manager trying to confront 9 hostile individuals. He
didn't need to confront them though. At the end of the day, you're the manager. This is your business, and you're not going to be seated. So all the rah shit ain't going to mean nothing because we're not going to seat you. You don't have your fucking mask. We're not going to, and I'm not going to confront you either. I'm not going to get closer to you. This is it. You're not coming in this motherfucker.
Yeah.
We're not going to serve you. So even if you got routed, you came, bombarded your way in and sat down, we're not serving you. We're going to call the cops. That's the way it should be handled. You know what I mean? In the quote unquote world of restaurant. That's how it should be handled. We're not going to serve you. So all that fighting shit don't mean nothing because we're not going to serve you.
But he still got sucker punched though.
No, but he wouldn't have gotten sucker punched if he didn't come that close to them.
Smith,
Understand that you can't come into our business. We're not serving you. So I don't need to walk up to you to tell you, hey, sir, calm down. I don't need to do that. See, white people always think that they can come to a black motherfucker and say, hey, calm down. Motherfucker, I will punch you in your face.
Smith,
just like that.
Though? But then you put the customers at risk of having to make a decision because that same nigga look like the dude like, oh, word, y'all ain't gonna say serve me, fuck it. Ain't nobody in this bitch eating. I'm gonna stand right here in line. I'm not moving. Ain't nobody going until I go. Now you got the customers who gotta make that decision.
But guess what? And you're gonna have other customers that's like, yo, get the fuck out my way. You give a fuck about this shit you talking about, bruh. See what I'm saying? So the manager don't have to deal with that because customers don't give a fuck. Like, you think you grown and all that shit, and that's what it will create a problem for your restaurant. But at the end of the day, all he has to say is his thing. You can't come in. But to go and approach the guy and say, and start like, I'm going to push you outward, that ain't going to never work. I've had those friends. I've been in those situations. If motherfuckers will get to fighting, they don't give a fuck. Because they don't give a fuck. Like, they really don't. So,
but there's a lot of people who ain't built like you, Smith, that don't want that type of confrontation. So if they see a group of guys being hostile in a particular establishment, they're going to be like, fuck this, I'm out.
Okay, this is what I'm saying. You got to understand. You saw this video, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's already patrons that's in here eating, right?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
There are already people in here eating. These people are trying to come in to eat. You understand what I'm saying? From the video that you showed.
Yeah.
They're trying to come in.
Yeah.
You can't come in because you don't have a mask, so you're never going to get seated, is what I'm saying. We're not going to seat you.
But Smith,
I don't need to approach you to tell you that, is what I'm saying.
Which one makes for better optics, though, in this news story? Manager gets punched in the face or fucking brawl breaks out at the nigga's restaurant?
A brawl's not going to break out, though. See, that's what you're assuming, that a brawl's going to break out. Listen, niggas is coming to eat. I'm not going to fight if I'm not eating. You understand?
Go ahead, Black
I've
Juice.
seen brawls break out in IHOP. I've been in brawls in the restaurants. Like, I've been in them shit.
If the manager was used to or had experiencing this type of scenario, they would have made better choices. A better choice would have been to bring it down and said, okay, sir, no problem. Let me see what we can do to seat you let me see if I can clear a table for you and your 8 friends. We're going to go in the back and try to get a place. While this person think they're about to be seated, hello, police? Yeah, I have 9 people here
Black
that
Zeus.
are disgruntled.
Come on, Black Zeus.
So while they're sitting there calm, thinking that you're setting a table up for them, the cops are on the way.
A diversion. You create a diversion. Yeah.
There you
all
go.
Right. There we go. I like that.
Now,
I
the
like
flip
that.
side is, this is what happened. The flip side was the manager saw it, and we on pins and needles with this black shit. And when the guys was just in Starbucks waiting, using the bathroom, but they was waiting, but they didn't buy anything from Starbucks. Cops were called on them. So white people now they're on pins and needles about calling cops, but at the end of the day, situations are situations. Motherfuckers, calling cops. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but
and
there's
like
a difference
Black
between
said, that was a great diversion. Like, we're going to see what we can do. I'm going back here, call the cops, and let the cops know that we got people that's trying to come into here and infiltrate our fucking restaurant, and they're going to handle it. And then I don't got to worry about it. Now, I might have to worry about the backlash of it, and this motherfucker might come back and hide in the bushes and shit, because violence is a motherfucker if you really on that shit like that. But I got to take that risk because I'm here as the manager and I'm supposed to protect this business.
Is that your bell, Kel?
Oh, my bad. I was so enthralled in what Phil was saying, I didn't realize the timer was going off.
Oh shit! Okay, yeah, that's going off. I hear it. That shit sound like that couch look, nigga.
Damn.
Fantastic.
What's up with the next? Come on, what's up with the next clip, man?
You can see the man knock.
Video more of it in the hunt, of course, for the man who did it, Rick.
Jasmine and Amy, we just...
Yo, I'm not seeing that video, man. I'm seeing you. What's going on?
The suspect in this attack is
here we go.
A regular customer, or at least he used to be. This is at the Sinclair station. We're off of Rosecrans Avenue and Avalon Boulevard here in Gardena. The brutal attack happened right here at pump number 1 last Sunday. The video is difficult to watch, but in it you can see the man pretty well, actually. Let's walk you through it. The LA County Sheriff's Department released the video today in hopes that someone recognizes the shirtless man. You see, once he's out of his SUV, he casually walks up to the unsuspecting victim, that woman pumping gas, when suddenly she's attacked. You can see the man knocks her to the ground and then repeatedly hits her. She falls out of sight from the security camera. Investigators say the attacker, though, grabs the woman's hair and repeatedly slams her head into the car and on the ground. The attack lasts about 30 seconds, and by that time, bystanders begin to approach the suspect and the victim. One man is even seen walking with the suspect as he goes back to his SUV.
All right, fellas. So we got
they were scared to death. That motherfucker was big and they was scared.
That got to be road rage. She did something to him before she pulled up. That's what that shit got to be. Because that don't make no sense that he would just roll. That nigga ain't even getting gas.
No. It could have also been. But wait, it could have not been that. It could have been that she didn't motherfucker. He wanted. So I saw this shit like 2 days ago. A motherfucker had pulled up to the pump like that, right? And then the other motherfucker pulled up. And it was like, yo, back up some so I could pull up so I can get my tank. Like, if you notice where his car is, right? The gas he can't get the gas thing to his shit because it's too far. Even though they reach and stretch, he can't get it. It's too far. So he probably was trying to back up, and she was like, man, fuck that, I'm getting my gas. And this big motherfucker casually walked out and started beating her the fuck up. That shit's crazy.
That could be you could have road rage, or that could be that situation.
We don't know what the situation was. There's nothing justifies him getting out, walking his big ass over there casually, and start beating her up.
That's messed up that these dudes ain't do nothing. 3 against 1. Come on.
They saw how big he was and they were scared. They don't know. They never read about Tim Larkin. They didn't read the book about Tim Larkin. They don't know about pressure points and where to hit the motherfucker.
See, the thing is, you see
this big motherfucker. You're like, I don't want no sauce with this big motherfucker.
That's a lot of people. Exactly, Smith.
Look at how they walked up on the situation. You see him getting, okay, fine. If you know you ain't gonna do nothing, why walk over there? You see what he's doing.
Because if we walk over there in numbers, you might stop what you're doing.
There might be a shock to those that are seeing this, not knowing why. I mean, they're just like, what the fuck? What's going on? Like, because here's the thing. if you're sitting there and then like it's so for example, I remember a time that me and my friends were out and one of my we were in two different cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends, she's a female, she's a white female, this, that, and the other. And I pull up to the gas station, she pull up to the gas station, and we're kind of like across from each other, and going in parallel directions, but we're both getting gas. And then, you know, we're joking around and shit. She's like, "What are you looking at?" And I'm like, "I'm looking at you, motherfucker. What? You know, this, that, and the other." And she gets out the car. "What you gonna do about it?" So I get out the car and I grab her and I pick her up, you know, and my friends in the car making fun with the gas station guy, talking about like, "Yo, you gonna let her do that? You ain't gonna do." He's like, "It's none of my business. None of my business. I don't even know what's going on." You know. So you know, even though we were just joking, he was just in shock, like, "What's going on here?" So you got to remember that people ain't just ready for shit to jump off. I mean, people are not just ready for shit to jump off. So there might have been, if they saw this whole situation escalate from the very beginning, they might have stepped in. But you know, the same way we just saw it, we don't know exactly what happened. That shit is a shock to your system.
I agree with Schubert on that one. It's probably a shock to the system. What could she have done differently in that situation?
Nothing.
Bullshit.
Well, no, she could have been a little bit more alert.
She was pumping her fucking gas, bruh.
Yeah,
So
but
what?
you come on now. You don't realize that somebody's walking up to you. Who's looking down at the gas tank while you pumping gas?
Well,
Niggas
here's
is
my
looking
thing.
around while
A
they pumping
woman that
gas.
don't know how to pump gas.
Let's say she did have words with dude a minute ago. Cut him off in traffic or cut him off to the gas pump, this, that, and the other. You now made an enemy. And you now know that this person has some aggression towards you. Would you not think to keep your eye on them when they're only 10, 20 feet away from you or a yard? You know what I mean? Like, that should be your natural instinct. Unless you're a Karen and you just think like, "Oh, the world revolves around me. I can just, you know, spit in people's faces and nothing's going to happen. I can turn my back on that person."
Yeah, we looking at it from a different angle because none of us pump our gas. I do pump my gas, even though it's illegal in Jersey. But I go to a hood gas station, and the motherfucker don't be pumping gas fast enough, so I pump my own
But in
shit.
South Jersey, I come across a couple gas stations that allow you to pump your gas, even though they're not supposed to let you.
Yeah.
Listen,
Jersey,
I'm from
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn. We pump our own gas. I'm just
But
saying.
at the end of the day, she might not have even had an altercation with old boy. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know the situation. But, yes, she could have been more alert. But even in her being alert, what was she going to do?
When as soon as the homeboy got out the car and made a beeline towards her, she could have jumped into her car.
Right.
Yeah,
she could have made a run for it.
She could have sprayed him with gasoline and lit that nigga on fire.
Stop and check it out. You're assuming that she had an altercation with old boy.
No, I'm saying, yeah, she had an
that out.
altercation.
But take that out. What if she didn't have an altercation?
Okay,
now, what is she supposed to do? He was walking up. He looks like he could be going to go pay for his gas. He's walking up. He's no shirt on. She's not thinking anything. He's still walking slow as hell. He's not running. He doesn't look like he's coming to attack anybody. And he gets closer to her. And then he starts swinging on her. What is she supposed to do? I'm asking you all. What is she supposed to do?
Not
Look at the video. We just watched that video. Okay. What is she supposed to do?
Hold on. If the whole thing is, if she had no previous altercation, no reason to suspect that he would be a danger to her, then I could see where she got caught off guard. You know, but we don't know the full story.
Exactly. And she could have got caught off guard. That's all.
But it just seems really strange that this guy would just randomly get out of his truck, beat the shit out of a woman in broad daylight or in with a well-lit gas station in public, and then just walk back to his vehicle. That doesn't seem logical at all.
It doesn't seem logical when you know there's also cameras around there and you go get out your car and beat up somebody and get back in your car and there's a bunch of cameras. That don't seem logical either. So we don't know.
Yeah, but there's got to be motivation behind it.
Is there? Or is it just motherfuckers that do shit, bro? Like, sometimes there ain't no motivation. When
because
hey, listen, think about it. When motherfucker put a motherfucker onto the subway, ain't no motivation besides I want to see this motherfucker fall on the subway.
You didn't stole one of the things I was about to say.
There's no motivation, bro. There's no motivation. I'm a valid motherfucker and I want to see some violence happen. Shit.
Yeah.
What about that part? What about that part, Black Zeus? It does exist, so you know that.
It
I was
does.
about, I was about to say there was a situation
Like,
on the New York City platform, and I forget which train line it was. Yo, there's been several incidents this past week where people getting slashed in the face, just randomly slashed in the face.
randomly. Because y'all ain't listening to me. Motherfuckers been waiting to come and do some violent shit. You understand? Y'all keep laughing at my shit that I said a few weeks ago. But motherfuckers been in the house waiting to do some violent acts. And now shit is back to normal and they can come out and do violent shit. They've been planning this shit, bro. I know y'all don't think like that, so it bypasses you. But motherfuckers do think like that. And that's what Tim Larkin is trying to train you motherfuckers to understand. That there's always somebody who's thinking about violence, motherfucker. Whether you're thinking about it or not.
Tom.
All right.
Oh, I was done, nigga. You see how I ended that shit? Always thinking about violence, Henry, whether you're thinking about it or not. Nigga will come and kill LeBron and not give a fuck about LeBron.
All right.
Story right now, a story that is
has next news
still being written tonight. But
you
no
must
matter
got that
what the
song
final
that you-
chapter is, this man's life is over from a fatal meeting and his family devastated. Thanks for joining us at 10 on air and wherever you're streaming. I'm Corey Stark. Samantha has the night off. That man's death appears to be over a lawn care disagreement. And News 4 has video leading up to and after the clash. News 4's Ashley Lincoln is speaking to the victim's family about the shooting that happened in Glasgow Village in St. Louis County. Ashley is live following that investigation tonight. Ashley?
That's right, Corey. The victim's family telling me tonight that this was a senseless act of violence. Again, as you mentioned, this was all over a yard debris dispute regarding grass that was cut from the neighbor's yard. Tonight, we're learning that police are reviewing surveillance camera from that home to figure out who's responsible for this shooting.
Senseless. 4 shots to the chest. Why?
That's the question the fiance of Alan Waller says keeps her up at night.
We were good people. Why?
Waller, who's also a father, was gunned down in his driveway Sunday morning.
All we did was go shopping for the kids and come home.
His fiance, who didn't want her face shown for her safety, says after errands and coming home, Waller wanted to talk to the neighbor's landscapers about ongoing issues from them leaving their debris in his driveway. Home surveillance video shows the female neighbor walking 2 men to Waller's doorstep. After the men confirm, Waller takes them to the side of the house to show them the debris. His fiancée says that side of the home doesn't have cameras. Within seconds of being out of frame, things go wrong. 8 seconds go by before you see the neighbor sprinting across her lawn. And soon after, a third man appears from behind a truck with a gun. Waller's fiancée, who was inside the home with their children, describes the gunshots.
I said, shh, whatever type of gun it was, that's the shots I heard.
All right, that's all we need. All right, fellas.
First of all, how anonymous are you when somebody gonna recognize that headscarf or the back of your head or your dread?
Yeah, you dumb as hell, Henry. You dumb as hell, yeah.
That's the truth.
Dumb as hell.
Anonymity. That doesn't even make no sense, man. Like, let's keep it real, man. Somebody go recognize her.
And they showed the whole house, right? They showed the whole house, too, right? Address and everything.
And you know, it's a police report. Everybody in the neighborhood knows where it happened.
Exactly. It's public records.
I'm not exactly sure how. It's like, I don't want nobody to know my face. It's okay if they know where I live, the police report.
Exactly, Max.
But I don't want them to recognize me.
Yeah, they can know the back of my head. They can know the little mop I got over there in the corner.
They know I wear glasses.
Like, she ain't never walked to the mailbox with that headscarf on. Come on.
That same headscarf. That's her favorite one.
Listen, it is what it is, man. Listen.
Yeah, I don't even think we got any comments on this one.
I think his big cardinal mistake, he stepped out of frame of the camera.
Nah,
that wasn't a cardinal mistake. The cardinal mistake, he went around the back with 2 dudes. Why are you going back there?
Yeah.
Look, I sent you.
The whole thing is, it's like
I sent you pictures.
We don't know what the conversation was that brought it to that level. You know,
the conversation was this: Black Zeus, this motherfucker went outside to show them where they got the debris at. Now check this out. My man in Hillside, he be going through this shit with his neighbor. And he told the motherfucker the other day, look, man, stop blowing that shit on my motherfucking property. You blowing that shit in my driveway. So I understand that. He approached the dude different situation. But this dude left out with 2 other dudes to show them where the trash was. I didn't need to do that. He ain't had no gun on. He didn't feel threatened because I guess they were black and he was black. He should have felt threatened because he was black and they was black. Fuck out of here. I don't know you niggas. Give me a second. I'm coming out, but let me get this ratchet right quick. That's how I would come out. I'm just saying, like, I move different, motherfucker. Let me get this ratchet. Let me get with Tim Larkin. Let me grab one of these kitchen knives or something. You know what I mean? Like, you went out there with 2 dudes. It was 3 on 1. So they was already jumping a nigga when he got back there. Oh, nigga, you talking about we putting Josh back here? Fuck you, nigga. They was jumping him. And then the other nigga came out the truck with the gun to end it. The fuck? Nah, man. Nah. You got to be mindful of your shit. You don't know these motherfuckers, man.
You touched on something. Go ahead, Black. It's my bad.
Quite frankly, I don't know what the conversation was and how it went down. If it went down like, listen, nigga, I just told your motherfucking ass not to be blowing this shit into my, and you dealing with real niggas, and they feel like, hey, you done trespassed on my respect, on my honor. You know, that's how that shit goes down in the hood. So you really got to know who you fucking with and how you speaking to them and this, that, and the other. So that's the only thing I could say is, like, off camera. I don't know what the conversation was, but that's the only way that I could see that have gone that went down. I can't see you said, listen, I know that y'all got to get rid of this stuff, and sometimes it may blow over into my. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna blow your head off for that shit. I think my man might have been upset. Might have got reckless with his speech, and he said it to the wrong ones.
You touched on something that Tim Larkin said in regards of, because there was a scenario in a book, I forget which chapter it was.
De-escalating.
De-escalate. Thank you, Smith. Thank you. When he was with his son, and basically his son
cut him off in traffic.
Exactly, and his son was like, "Yo, you a black belt and all that. Why ain't you just whoop his ass, Dad?" And Tim Larkin explained, not every situation.
Is necessary.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, you know the irony of that? His son was reading the magazine that his father was on the cover of for kicking on people's ass. And he's like, Dad, why you ain't kick his ass, yo? What the fuck, Dad? You could have just mopped him up.
His son clearly don't understand how the law works, because you must want your dad in jail.
Here you go with the law again.
Homeboy, he used that as an example, though.
But didn't Tim Larkin also tell you that the law and violence ain't the same?
Yeah, but in that specific example, homeboy was like, I didn't want to get hurt. I didn't want to kill the student, and I end up in jail. Schubert, Hakeem. I'm speaking specifically to that example.
I get what you're saying. I'm just getting what you're saying, but it's like, that's your first concern. His first concern is like, yo, there's no reason for me to jeopadize me and my son's safety over.
Yeah, exactly.
Over this.
That's
exactly. Yep.
That was his first concern.
Yeah,
the very last concern was going to jail.
Yeah. Exactly, because his second concern was, I could go up to this car, this guy could have a gun and he could shoot me.
Or this guy could use his car to hit me and my son.
Exactly.
How's that the last concern?
He had different concerns.
Because here's the thing.
Hold on, wait.
In a violence encounter, you're not thinking about
let Kelvin answer the question.
Concern when the dude said, Tim Larkin said, you got to be prepared to go to jail. So that should be at the forefront of your mind.
No, it shouldn't.
Not at the forefront.
Staying alive should be the forefront.
Exactly. Staying alive is at the forefront. Going to jail.
Him and his son's safety was the first precaution in that situation. Because he told a story about what was it? The Muay Thai fighter who basically had his car wrecked, and the two students came out, and then
he got gunned down.
Yeah, and he got gunned down when he caught up to him in traffic. He was just like, you gotta be mindful of. Sometimes you just never know what that.
He was the champion Muay Thai fighter.
Yeah, and he was exactly.
Was this Tim Larkin who was telling the story, or was it he was telling the story to somebody else with his son?
This was Tim Larkin telling the story. Telling the story of incident of when you don't de-escalate or walk away from a situation.
I know, but was that his personal story, or was that a story of somebody else?
With the story, the son?
Yeah.
That was his
own personal story.
And that makes sense. Because if it was somebody,
that was his personal story.
Because if it's somebody different, if you the martial arts champion, first thing you thinking is, yeah, I could fuck this nigga up, but I ain't trying to go to jail. That's the first thing I be thinking. I get the whole safety and whatever, but
Yo, see, you got it wrong. People
I'll
ain't
give you an
thinking about.
example.
Listen, people are not thinking about jail when they're thinking about violence, bruh. Nobody thinks about jail when there's an act of violence about to occur. Jail is the farthest thing from your mind. You're not thinking about going to fucking jail. You're thinking about killing or hurting this motherfucker in front of you.
Exactly.
You're not thinking about jail.
Yeah.
Who the fuck thinks about jail in a fight, Henry? You thinking about, oh, yo, if I keep beating this nigga up and go to jail? I never think about that shit.
Oh, but as a trained,
I gotta incapacitate this motherfucker.
No, but Smith, as a trained fighter, though, you already know that if
no,
you
as a trained fighter, you're not supposed to fight a motherfucker because your hands
exactly. That's what I was about to say.
But hold on, Kel. But Kel,
that doesn't matter though. In the act of violence, it doesn't matter, nigga. Tyson.
Let Black Zeus chime in real quick.
I want Black Zeus to say that, but you saw Mitch Green eye, nigga, when Tyson punched this shit in the designer store, nigga. In the act of violence, you don't care. You punch, nigga. You punch, kick, scream, do whatever the fuck you got to do.
There was a time I was at my gym, and this dude came by, and he came in the front door, and he was, and I was there by myself at the time, and he was like, yo, I'm trying to get some money together so I can catch the bus to, go to work. Could you help me out? I was like, nah, bro, sorry, I don't carry cash or anything like that. I don't have anything like that, this, that, and the other. He just left. No problem. Okay. A day or two later, same dude, dressed the same way. I had just finished teaching a boxing class. I went to go wash my hands. And while I'm in the bathroom washing my hands, this dude sees some of the ladies there in the gym. And he walks in and is talking to them and asking them for change. Now I hear him from the bathroom. So I come out the bathroom. I was like, yo, my man, this is my place of business. You can't come in here, asking people for money. This thing. He's like, what? Nigga, I'll fuck you up. And now, mind you, the length of my gym. There's a good, I want to say, 30 feet between where I'm standing and from where he's standing. And then the whole thing is there are women that are right to the right of him. That's I had a different configuration in the gym at the time that are kind of in the way. Now, the whole thing is I can't close that space fast enough that I can control the situation. And I have to take in consideration that these women could get hurt. Now this dude is talking reckless as if I didn't see him 2 days ago. Does he have a gun? Does he have a knife? I'm definitely bigger than him, stronger than him, better trained than him. I got to think about those factors, my safety and the safety of the people around me before I can think to myself like, oh, I might go to jail if I fuck this dude up.
Are your hands registered like how the black belt is? That's what I'm saying from that standpoint.
In the state of New Jersey, there is no there's no self-defense law.
Nope.
So if I fuck this nigga up, I'm going to jail. That was not my first thought.
In New Jersey, you're going to jail.
My first thought was my safety and the safety of the people in my gym. So I had to de-escalate. I was like, listen, my man, you have I said to him like, you're not welcome here. Please leave. And he's like, yeah, fuck you, nigga. And he walked off. Now, was my pride hurt? Not really. Did I want to fuck him up? Absolutely. But I can't think like that. I can't react like that based off of, hold up, this nigga is really brolic for somebody that, has no advantages here.
Yeah,
so
I guess so.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
because at the end of the day, if I go to jail, at least I'm alive.
And I would feel
exactly.
I don't feel any differently than how y'all feel. I just don't know if I would feel any differently if I was a fucking black belt that's on the front of a magazine cover. I think my mindset would be a little different.
But I told you about the scenario with me, my wife, and my kid at the Cheesecake Factory, right?
Where you asked for the cheesecake, they say they ran out of it, so you yoked the waiter up? It was that one?
Haha, funny.
Short
version of story. I'm at the restaurant with my wife and some friends. This dude, who my wife told him to get away from Tyler, came and put his arm around my wife. And I'm sitting right next to her. So long story short, I end up because I was in a booth and we were in a booth and I was on the inside of the booth. I had to get out the corner. So literally I had to break the table from the wall in order to get around my wife and kid to get to this dude. In that moment, my whole was thinking about the safety of my wife and my kid. I wasn't thinking about whether or not I'm going to jail. Now, once I got this dude, the whole thing is once I got this dude away from my wife and kid, and I basically put him down to the ground with a knee in his chest and his arm in an arm bar where I could either snap his sternum and make it hard for him to breathe, or I can break his arm and make it hard for him to ever jerk off again. I paused. All right. At that point, I was in control.
My man was like, the sternum.
All right. And at that point, I was in control. Now, the whole thing is the cops came and they arrested him, this, that, and the other. And my wife was concerned about like, what if he finds out where we live, this, that, and the other, blase, blase. I'm like, well, fuck him. But the whole thing is for my wife's peace of mind, I called the Edison police. Hey, I was in an altercation earlier this week, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, you the guy. And he was like, yeah, we got him. We're going to bring him up on charges X, Y, and Z. Dude, I saw the video. You could have killed this dude. Why didn't you fuck him up? And I'm like, because I had control of the situation. And at that point, I thought to myself, I could go to jail. But my first thought was to get this dude away from my wife and kid. My family was in jeopardy. But once that was nullified and my family was not in jeopardy, my mind wasn't like, kill this motherfucker, because at that point, I would have went to jail. You see what I'm saying, Kel? A trained fighter knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, Schubert. No, I got you.
I'm just saying, don't end up being a victim to somebody and end up dead because you're afraid to go to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
Or your family getting hurt because you're afraid to go to jail. Fuck that.
No, I ain't saying I'm be afraid. I think that's
but yeah,
at the end of the day,
you can't have laws. Yeah, like the laws will mean nothing if it comes down to you and your family.
Nah, fuck them laws.
Yeah. Or you and your own safety. Fuck, it doesn't even have to be family. You and your own safety.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying that I would hesitate. I'm just saying that would be at the forefront of my mind. Like I consciously know now, walking around, that if something like that happens, I could go to jail. That's all.
But the thing is, Kel, I think that
not saying I wouldn't do it.
No, what I'm saying. No, let me say this, because I'm just saying like that thought process can handicap you from actually inflicting much harm. Because if you're thinking about going to jail, you're not going to necessarily go all out and take the necessary precautions of eliminating the threat. If jail is on the forefront of your mind.
Yeah.
And by eliminate, Cash, what you mean, kill?
Yes.
I'm just checking.
I think Tim Larkin make it very, very clear. If kill on the table, you gotta take.
I wanna push through this motherfucker and end up on the other side.
Yes.
Yeah, my man was like,
if I gotta drive an elbow through this nigga's fucking windpipe, then so be it.
Yeah.
Put it through their belt buckle.
The space that you're in now, I want to occupy. That's that nigga said. Tim Larkin said, that space that you in, I want that space. I'm coming.
Kel, let me put your mind at ease, man. You too slim. You know what I mean? Don't nobody in jail want your booty. You too slim.
I don't know about that.
Damn, fuck you, though.
Damn, fuck you. Thank you, man. That's the reality I needed right there.
Damn, fuck you, though.
Just for a second, I felt safe with Schubert's comment.
I was trying to get him peace of mind, man.
Oh, man. All right,
he's going with a peace of mind.
Let's get into the book questions. All right, so we have 2 questions for the week. Let's start off with Black Zeus. Has this book changed your mind about anything? For me, yeah. Like the idea of thinking like a criminal would in a violent situation was never something that really crossed my mind. Like I always thought of, I would take the necessary precautions to like protect myself, but like the way criminals study to inflict harm, I never really thought about it in that ways. I never put myself in the space of a criminal in regards of how to strategize to inflict as much bodily harm as possible. I knew instinctively, like, yeah, I gotta fight, if need be, fight to the death. But I never really thought to like really practice like how the inmates were practicing how to inflict harm. That's something that's new, and that's something that I think maybe us as a group or maybe individually like take a class. I don't know if it's he didn't necessarily say which class, Krav Maga or anything like that, but like maybe start studying on that sort of craft.
Go ahead, Sue.
No,
All right,
go
I
ahead.
go. I would say just the whole thought process of when you think about like the what's that asocial and social violence.
Yeah.
That's something new I learned. The whole difference. I mean, I kind of always understood the concept of like the people who do most of the talking are the ones who do the least amount of action. And the ones who do the least amount of talking, those are the ones who, go hard. Also, that whole thought process of like when you watch a lot of training classes, well, let's say if he comes with a bat, first you do this, then you do that, then you do this. And he's saying like that doesn't work. It's just more so the instinct. And the one thing that kind of seemed like a universal thing that you can apply, I felt like I could apply to other aspects of life, not just with, protecting yourself, is where he was saying, you got to take your time with a lot of the actions, and that sometimes moving slower is better than rushing through it. Like some people trying to throw 10 punches in 3 seconds, where you really just want to throw them 1 or 2 blows that'll just break whoever down. So that whole thought process, I like quality over quantity. Just sort of was reinforced in that.
Quality over quantity.
So because you already know my background, I don't have to go too deep into it. But whole thing is, everything he said, I was very knowledgeable about and very comfortable in. Just reinforce things that I already know, and it actually reminded me to practice some other things.
Yeah.
Like the funny thing is, as he's going over, anatomy and physiology, I'm like, I know all this stuff. Like even my wife, we were watching a movie last night, Angel Has Fallen, and there was a cut that was done towards the end of the movie that was like kind of underneath the armpit. And she's like, is there a major artery there? I'm like, yeah, the brachial artery runs right up, from your, your arm, up your arm and underneath your armpit and everything, and I started going over the major arteries, brachial artery, popliteal, Achilles, cardiac artery, and how they work, where they at, this, that, and the other, and how, you have like 5 liters of blood that can bleed out, extremely quickly, especially if that person drank water, especially if that person has high blood pressure, this, that, and the other. So the whole thing is that knowing the information I know, I don't feel as threatened by most people. But it's just funny to me how people walk around completely oblivious of all this. Like they really just think we have civilized the world so much that they think that they're constantly in a place of safety and just don't know. Like you don't know what's going on in the minds of people that are around you. And that's something that, people should always keep in mind. Always keep in mind when you address anybody or move around with anybody, because personally I see everyone as a threat until they prove themselves differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was well said, Black Zoo, shit. But the book, as far as it more so like reinforced. I got a few new takeaways as far as like saying, yeah, I need to brush up more so on the anatomy again. But outside of that, I just enjoyed it as a nice read. It was. I like the stories that he was telling. As far as people thinking that violence won't ever hit their door, I grew up in an urban environment, so violence was always at the door. You know what I mean? When you walk out, you always had to, be had your head on the swivel and shit, so to speak. So, like it just like I said, reinforced. And you don't go out looking for violence. That's not what you ever do. But to be prepared for it when the shit go down, Like, Kel, you got off last week, but I was telling them, like, at the end of the day, we in Canada. How did we know that violence was going to strike us in a fucking club? And I wanted to know how you felt about that, Kel, because we was in the motherfucking club. I was prepared, and I wasn't prepared for it to happen in Canada, but I was prepared when it happened. You know what I mean?
I wasn't prepared because we jumped behind the damn. Well, I guess Tim Larkin ain't saying go chase a nigga with a gun.
No,
but
hell no. Fuck you think?
You know what I was? You know what I wish my man had to did with the whole stories or whatever. Even at some point, just pointed out like some of the signs to where it's like, if you see this sign or that sign, you kind of know that the nigga's asocial.
But that's the whole point of being asocial. That's the whole, like, when anarchy hits your front step with violence, that's what asocial is. It's unpredictable. Where social, where violence is in a social setting, there's certain rules and regulations around that sort of violence. Unwritten rules and regulations.
At the end of the day, if you get into a fight with a regular motherfucker Joe on the street, are there rules to that fight?
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, are there rules? Like, you got rules, like, I'm not going to punch him here. I'm not going to kick him. Like, exactly, motherfucker. It's a fight.
Yeah. So, like, I think for him, I think he's saying, like, when you
right there.
Yeah,
I think to survive.
Go ahead.
No, but you know what though? Some people, what I say is, some people understand the rules. Like, a nigga might knock you to the floor, and some niggas gonna bang your head on the concrete because they don't give a fuck. And some niggas gonna say, "Oh, well, if I bang this nigga's head on the concrete, this motherfucker might die. I'm not trying to kill him." Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is, I think that, and this is unfair advantage, is that it comes from experience. How many fights have you been in? How many situations you've been in? Like somebody like myself and Hakeem have probably been in a lot more situations than the average person. So we have a better read of a situation and how to handle it. Most people are not going to be able to tell someone who's just talking shit and just wants to start a fight and try to show that they're big and bad versus someone who has very deep intent of, possibly killing you, So, for instance, when he was talking about the father and the hockey coach, when, that took off the way it did, that father had no intent of killing the man. I mean, he had no intent of killing the man, but the whole thing is that that's what ended up happening. So one guy ended up dead and one guy ended up in prison. Now, if you're in a situation where someone is saying, it's a robbery or they're just coming up and grabbing you up, this, that, and the other.
That's social.
That's, that might be social, but asocial would be more of like, this person is just coming for you, very little talk, very little expression. And that's the thing, is the fact that if you got to be quick to say to yourself, like, this person's coming in way too quick, too fast, I got to go all in.
Like the big guy at the gas station.
Right,
that
the big guy at the gas station. Soon as honestly, if you're someone who has like, in my experience, if that was me at the gas pump, if I was in that lady's position, as soon as I seen this guy closing space between me and he's a threat. Now my immediate reaction is to open up space to control the situation. Back away, run away, this, that, and the other. So now when I have that space, now I can, decide how I'm going to take this motherfucker down. Yeah. I'm not going to give him a chance to corner me.
Because my immediate reaction is to take this motherfucking gas and spray this shit on this nigga. And tell his nigga I would like.
That's what I said from the jump, bro. When y'all said what the homegirl done differently, she could have sprayed the gas and then back up.
She wasn't aware.
Yeah, exactly. She wasn't aware.
Even if she pulled out the gas, be aware all the time. She wasn't aware.
Okay, even if she pulled out the gas, right, and tried to get it on dude, how was that going to stop dude? Like, if you don't have a lighter, immediately on hand, how does that stop dude?
Well, there's a video I got right here where it does stop people.
That shit stops them.
Yeah, like, it is chemical. Like, it will stop them.
You put gasoline in a motherfucker's face, it will stop you ASAP. Trust me.
Yeah, hold on. There's a video right here. Hold on, I'm gonna share it. This lady's at
That
a
shit
gas
will stop
station.
your ass.
3 robbers was about to come out and rob this lady, and immediately she's hosing them down, and it stopped them.
That shit will stop your
It
ass.
will stop you.
That's fucking gasoline.
It's a good
gasoline.
thing. It's a good thing.
Oh yeah, if it gets in the eyes and in your mouth, I
Hell
guess.
yeah, that's fucking gasoline.
It's a good.
Y'all could have you scratching just like that.
But like when Kel said, like, you know, she's gonna spray him down with gas and set him on fire. I'm like, that's a lot of extra steps, my dude. Hold on, let me spray you with gas. Let me get out a lighter and then toss it on you.
That's it.
Let me light a match. Like that's a lot of extra steps.
It's a good thing she was filling up. It wasn't just putting $5 in her shit.
Well, who knows? She could have been doing $5, but I think with this particular lady, if you watch this video, she was very aware immediately of the situation. She did not hesitate.
Yeah.
As soon as that van closed space, she was ready to whip that shit out.
She put gas in the van too. She's not playing. Like
she wasn't playing.
Look, shit about to be done.
She saw the van, she saw it open, and she didn't waste any time. Boom.
You know where they messed up? They should have pulled up on the other side, stupid.
She was aware.
They should have pulled up on the other side of the freaking pump.
Nah,
yeah, but that's the thing, is the fact of so many people move, you know, completely obliterated, you know, oblivious of their situation.
Head in the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I see it so often. Like, if I was a motherfucker with a van that just wanted to snatch people up, I can snatch people up with no problem. Because motherfuckers is just head in the phone, headphones on, not giving a fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, deaf and blind.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad that, you know, like, you know, I've conditioned my wife to the point, even when we go to a restaurant, she refuses to sit with her back facing the door. You know what I mean? She has to face facing the door and seeing what's going on. Knowing where all the exits are. You know what I mean? Like, people, like, oh man, it's sad. You know, it's really sad. It's really sad how oblivious people are to the dangers that's around them all the time.
All the time.
Well, it could come down to, you know, not everyone has the luxury of growing up in certain environments where, if you want to call it luxury, of growing up in certain environments where violence is at their
front. They have the luxury of not having to grow up. That's the thing.
Yeah, I'm about to say that ain't no luxury.
The luxury is that they don't have to work. They've never had to work.
Well, you didn't hear me correct my say. I said if you want to
PTSD is not a luxury.
Understood. Well, all right, wrong choice of word.
That shit is a death sentence. That shit is a life shortener. You know what I mean?
But there is
that
something.
But your lifespan, bro.
What I'm saying is, there is something to be said about people. Now, and it just doesn't have to be from a violence standpoint, but there is something to be said about people growing up in certain environments that tend to have thicker skin, whether it's through violence or it's in the world of business. Like a lot of times,
the thicker skin becomes also when I take you out hunting. Because I'm on the other side, you know what I mean? I don't have to necessarily be in an urban environment. I could be.
I didn't say urban. I said certain environments. I didn't say
what's that environment,
dude. You could be in the country and you learning how to struggle.
Learning how to struggle or how to kill.
Shoot, what I'm saying is there's a luxury in learning survival techniques. There's a luxury to it.
And what's the survival technique? In the urban environment, that my survival technique is different than a suburban environment.
But what I'm saying is,
but
don't personalize this in regards of what you've been. I'm just saying that there's just certain environments for certain people. It's a luxury to have that environment. If you are able to survive that environment and manage to go into adulthood, you have picked up a certain skill set that most people don't have that luxury.
Yeah, like, you know what? A lot of times people will say, and shoot, but I think you might have said it too. I'm not quoting you, but just paraphrasing. Like sometimes you wish that your kids or your offspring had like that edge that you don't necessarily have.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a luxury as opposed to an adaptation.
So I think that's stuck like on the word luxury.
I think that's like Charles Darwin and the turtles and the tortoise at the Galapagos Island, man. I think it's an adaptation. I don't think that's a luxury at all. That's all I'm saying.
I think we're getting stuck on the word luxury versus like just being considerate of like, listen, people have adapted from their experience to build certain levels of skills. So for instance, like I may teach my son how to box and I may teach him how to fight. And when he gets older, I'll teach him how to handle a knife and how to disarm somebody and how to, do joint grabs and this, that, and the other. But the whole thing is, will he have the aggression in him to apply it?
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing, a lot of people, you might teach them all the skills, but when they're in the situation, they panic, they freeze, they do not know, they don't have the emotional fortitude to handle themselves in that situation calmly and correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to realize this has so many facets to it. There's a facet of psychology, a facet of anatomy, a facet of physics, a facet of physiology, so it's not a simple thing. And even the guy that was like, when he was talking about his friend who studied the Filipino style of stick and knife training. I've done some of it. Is in some forms they call it bakbaten. And actually, I got to find my sticks. But the whole thing is they do stick and knife training. I'm very familiar with the stick and knife training that they do. And the thing is, dude pulled out his shank and he handled these two guys who was trying to rob him very efficiently. But he had never seen, and he had never actually gut anybody and seen that.
Kill somebody, exactly.
Up front, and that completely changed. That was a lot for him to handle because he's always practiced it, but he never applied it in the real world.
He didn't think like he did not think of the process of what it would be like to actually kill somebody. Like that whole psychology eluded him in this whole practice.
Yeah, and you could teach all the boxing and all the techniques all you want, but you know when to use and apply it, and then when you do apply it,
be able to handle it psychologically.
Yeah,
I mean, the whole thing is, it's like, y'all know, I myself, have been seeing therapists since too long, and I still see a therapist till this day, and it gives me peace. It gives me, control.
Yeah.
It gives me peace and gives me control because I know, like, Keller tell you, like, it was crazy the fact of 2 years ago, I was ready to, let loose on my son's principal and second grade teacher. And that wasn't a life and death situation. It was just because I've been programmed a certain way, and I didn't know how to turn it off.
That's not cool. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but it's funny as hell.
Yo, I'm just saying. But that's the reality of it. It's like, and that's why I say, like, listen, you got to be careful who you fuck with because you don't know how people are built.
Yeah, you don't. Exactly.
I mean, if it wasn't for my wife, I don't know what would have happened that day.
And that's why that Muay Thai fighter, like, you ran up, you don't know, you think you tough and shit, got all this skill set, but this motherfucker got a gun in his car ready to gun a motherfucker down. You don't know what kind of day I'm having. It is so much easier to de-escalate. And I had to learn how to do that. You know what I mean? But I'm a lot better with that shit because it's real easy to go to the other side. That shit is like, fuck everybody. Y'all want to just have this attitude of fuck the world. But motherfuckers ain't really built to kill a motherfucker like you killing a motherfucker. Or you accidentally killed the motherfucker. You know what I mean? Are you trying
change
to
your
kill
world?
Because that shit will change your world. You know what I mean? Like, to take another's life, that shit will change your world. Like, you're going to be different. So, are you trying to kill a motherfucker? Or, was it an accident? That, and most motherfuckers is accidental deaths are different. You know what I mean?
I think what Tim Larkin is getting alluded to, and I think this is, probably a good segue, and maybe to my question is, his whole intention is like, yo, just be prepared to kill, period.
Yeah.
If it comes down to that,
just be prepared.
Yeah.
I think one of the best story he gave, well, all of the stories he gave was in there, was that, but the one that really sticks out to me and is an embodiment of me sharing this story with my wife was that, the ranger, the chick who was, fit and what have you, and she encountered the felon, and pretty much she
put up a good fight.
She put up a good fight, but she didn't have the mindset to kill, and the felon was able to catch up with her, and then was able to slit her throat.
Sever her head off.
Yeah,
Stabbed
her to the point. Yes, and sever her head off.
He severed her head off. Let's be clear about that. This is not like he just did one slash, like, oh my God, I cut her. He kept going until her head separated from her body.
Yeah.
So that's what she was dealing with, So when you're in that situation, just remember, this motherfucker might do that shit to you. Are you really willing to show him mercy?
Yeah.
All right. Transition to my question. Basically, if presented with this book, can you think of anyone or any group of people that would not take self-protection seriously? I'm just going to share my anecdotal stories. So it's two stories. So I was at the gym last week, and I'm working out, and I had my phone facing up, and this lady next to me happens to take a glance at my phone and saw what I was looking at. So immediately she had like this sort of hesitation, and then shortly after I finished doing a set, she started talking to me about the book. And then she was just like, she ended it and saying like, it sounds interesting, but it doesn't sound like my cup of tea. Next story is, on my wife's side of the family, they know that, I'm part of a book club, and they were just asking, oh, so which book you guys are reading now? And I was telling them, when violence is the answer. So obviously I'm giving them synopsis and some of the chapters that we went over. And while everyone seems to have a peak, like a slight interest, no one seems to like really care to take the situation seriously, even though I'm being as descriptive as possible of what the book entails and some of the stories involved. And like, these are actual encounters that people have had, and they know I've been mugged. They've known my brother been shot. They've known that my nephew's been shot. They know my brother-in-law's been shot, but yet it's like, for them, it's just like, I'm not going to have a dog. I'm not going to necessarily have any floodlights around the house. I'm not going to have none of that shit. So I don't know. I just want to hear you guys, if you guys have shared this book, even if you didn't share this book, can you think of anyone or any group of people where you just think like, they're not going to even give a fuck. They're not going to.
I can't even say white people. I would just say people who live in certain areas. Like if you live in the suburbs, you really feel like you think, okay, that's not going to happen to me. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. When you look at that video of the McDonald's or whatever restaurant that was, first thing that popped in my mind is, okay, that's probably a spot in the hood, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. Now, granted, that shit at the gas station could happen to anybody. But when you're thinking about, oh, well, I don't have to worry about getting robbed or my house getting robbed or me getting broken into or needing a guard dog or anything, I think of people who live in a certain area. Let's say area, I mean like, necessarily the suburbs. I know that my stepfather, when we lived in Bayville down by Seaside Heights, this dude would leave the front door open. He would leave his car unlocked with the keys in the ignition in the driveway, because it's just that level of comfort, feeling like, man, this shit ain't gonna happen to me down here.
But if you think if he was presented this book, he would still have that mindset?
Yeah, I think he still feel like, oh, well, I not 100%. I think he would adapt more of like, okay, while I'm out in certain situations amongst the public, then maybe, if I'm in like one of them areas, but in day-to-day life, I'm going to the mall that's in my town or a restaurant that's in my town or a gas station that's in my town. I know that there's a particular type of people who frequent these areas. Nah, he ain't gonna, I don't think he changed his mindset. It's like, I don't know if you've ever looked at something. I'll say this and then that'll be my last thing I'll say because I got about 10 seconds left. Have you ever seen something or looked at something like, man, that should have never happened to me, regardless of what it is? It's the same mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Most people think that it just never happened to them. So, yeah, you can present them with the book, and they'll just look at it like, that just only happens in movies. That's not going to really happen to me. I don't know. But everything should be taken with a little bit of a grain of salt in essence. So, in Ernst. I would look at it like this. I can get a book to somebody and I don't even know if they'll finish reading the book. You know what I mean? Just because it's like, that seems like it's a little too, it's basically what Tim Larkin said. You don't want to think about violence. So to read about violence, to prepare yourself for violence, motherfuckers don't want to do that. That makes you have to look at yourself in a different manner and say, damn, am I willing? And we don't want to look at ourselves like that. You know what I mean? And Tim Larkin kept saying that over and over in the book. Like, you have to be prepared or want to be prepared for that. And most people don't want to prepare for that. Like, to be a violent being of nature, I don't want to have to think like that. That makes me not feel comfortable. That makes me not feel like I can leave my keys in the fucking ignition. You know what I mean? If I have to always think about the bad shit. So I want to think joyful. I want to la 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 la. I don't have a worry in the world. Nothing's going to hurt me. They want to have that mind state as opposed to shit. I could be in a place where if the shit goes down, I need to be prepared. Like, I think differently and I'm going to live differently. So, at the end of the day, go on ahead, Black Zeus. It's your turn. Make it a Schubert thing.
Real talk, personally, y'all been to my house. I got a Google camera on the door. I've got an electronic lock on the door. I've got an ADT system with motion detectors. Like I check out the fact that we got glass doors. I keep everything double and triple locked before I even go to bed at night. And, and I always keep that, insurance policy, click, click, bang, bang around this, that, and the other. But whole thing is that we live in a world where you can see bodies pile up at 585,000 people pile up dead everywhere around us. And people are getting sick. 4 out of 10 people are getting sick every day around us and still say, I don't think it's real. I don't want to wear a mask. It's impeding on my freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can, if we can have something like that is so upfront in your face and people are in denial of it, violence, which is something that happens sporadically, people are even less, people believe less in that one. That's more of the boogeyman, like, or a fairy tale than a pandemic. So real talk, those that want to be blind to it, fuck them. Fuck them. Like, you want to run through Central Park at 2:00 in the morning in your short shorts and not think that you're not going to get raped? Fuck you. Dude, you want to walk around, with the club flashing your popping bottles and wearing your gold chain and think that you ain't going to get robbed walking up to your Mercedes at the end of the night? Fuck you. Like, if you want to live in that false reality, it's on you. Nobody's responsible for your safety but you.
Yo, speaking of the bottles and shit, I did have a news segment where my man, he won like a $30,000 scratch off, right?
And bought a $20,000 chain.
And he bought a $20,000 chain.
And got robbed.
And they got robbed.
I was sorry.
Good for him.
You said that shit? Yeah.
Yeah, Lachelle was telling me about that.
Yeah,
I'm just
man.
now hearing about that, but fuck him.
Yeah. So,
you know what I thought about when she was talking about the lady running through the park with the shorts on? Niggas is like, yo, how come females can't dress how they want and without getting the attention that they want? I mean, how come they can't dress how they want and get like that unwarranted attention? And then I thought about the little Dave Chappelle shit where the nigga was like, oh, just because I'm dressed like a police officer
does not mean I am a police.
Oh,
but it's not even like that. My whole thing is that when I've heard these stories about women getting raped, and I'm like, okay, when I hear the details, oh, she was taking a run through Central Park at 4:00 in the morning. I'm like, yeah, that was stupid.
Bro, she got work at 7, man. How is she supposed to do it?
Listen, don't care. It's not worth your safety. It's not worth your fucking safety.
Agreed.
It's fucking stupid.
Agreed. That's why you try to move that Saturday class to 9 a.m. instead of 5:30. Shoot, you care about my safety.
That's why all those lights are out there, and that's why I always keep a knife on me. Just in case somebody come in the door like, oh, they open up that gym at 5:30 in the morning.
Dang.
Listen, it's real out here. Lions, tigers, and bear. Oh my.
Yeah.
Like people keep thinking that the whole thing is like I said, we've civilized the world so much that we think that the world is this safe place, and it's just like it's such foolishness to me. You got everything trying to kill you. You got germs, you got animals, you got the sun giving you cancer. Like everything's trying to kill you. Why do you think this world is such a safe place?
Shoot, about to go to that space station
with
Bezos.
Yo, I'm not going to that space station because if there's motherfuckers out here on this planet, I don't want to think about what's out there in space.
It's a lot safer in space.
Yeah, probably from people. That's about it.
Yeah, from people. Yeah.
Unless motherfuckers lose their mind being out there, secluded away from the rest of the world.
There ain't too many people out there. Shit.
Just saying.
Yeah, I was looking at this story. That's what I was trying to say. I don't know what happened. I was looking at this story, and this guy, it's a double-fold story: violence and reparations, in a sense, right? So, guy won $30,000 in the lottery. He bought a $20,000 chain. He goes to the gas station, and niggas rob him in the gas station of his $20,000 chain. He's on the news saying, "Man, this is messed up. I just want my chain back." I say it's double fold because this is why they don't want to give motherfucking reparations. It looked like a do-it-yourself kid. You won $30,000 and you bought a $20,000 chain. And now, mind you, no, he
still living in your mama's basement.
Well, he shouldn't have got. Yeah, he was still living in his mother's basement. I swear he was. That's exactly where he was living. He should have got robbed for his chain, and the guy that robbed him had robbed somebody else. He was like, he was coming to that gas station and robbing motherfuckers for their chain. But at the end of the day, you had $50,000. You bought a $20,000 chain. You thought motherfuckers weren't gonna come rob you? And you living in your mama's basement? Now, what the fuck did you think was gonna happen?
And nigga, you in Detroit, you could have bought a house.
What? Yeah, like what the fuck are you doing? Like, come on, man. At the end of the day,
or you could have gave some of it to your mama since you've been living there, unless you took the other 10 G's.
Or he could have invested it in a brokerage account.
Listen,
and put in some stocks. Like he could have done a lot of things with it.
And once again, he lived in Detroit. Have y'all been to Detroit?
It's a shit show.
All right. When I went to Detroit, I went to a convention in Detroit. The hotel that we were at, regular old DoubleTree, had an 8-foot fence around it. And I'm talking about those bars, like jail bars straight up with the poke at the top. Like you try to climb over, you'll get your ass stabbed. That's the type of fence it had around the hotel. When we went to the mall over in that area, just to, see what's going on, there was cops at every entrance of this little tiny strip mall. And if you were, I think, under 18, either you weren't allowed to come in the mall without an adult or something, or someone over 18 because they were checking IDs, or you had to be out of there by a certain time, something like that. I'm like, yo, it was like being in a war zone. And you gonna rock around a $20,000 chain and think, fuck you, nigga, get robbed. Get robbed. You deserve to get robbed, fool.
Fool.
Like, how do you live in that environment and think like, oh, I'm just going to walk around with a $20,000 chain around my neck and everybody's just going to be like, oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah, that's cool. That's nice.
Nothing's going to happen to you. You're completely safe. Like, I hate those people. I hate them. Rob his ass twice. Matter of fact, go to his mama's house and rob them whatever else they got left. Fool.
Go get the other 10,000, huh?
Yeah. Matter of fact, rob this dude and strip him down to his drawers. Make him walk home in nothing but his drawers.
I think for me look, I'm not gonna judge. Well, we can judge.
Yeah.
What he decides to do with that money is his choice, is whatever.
That's fine, but just don't say you're a victim.
He's still a victim. I will never take that away.
He's still a victim.
He's a victim of stupidity, but he's not. He's still a victim in regards to, like, you should be able to still purchase what you desire. If that's what he desired, that. He shouldn't be deprived of that. But yes, he's a victim of stupidity. That's what he truly is. It's just like, dude, you're in an environment that doesn't allow people to have luxurious things or nice things around you. So why would you even dare purchase something like that? But you know,
same thought, man. Thinking it'll never happen to me.
But here's the thing, Cash. Here's the thing. Fine, you can wear whatever you want. You can buy whatever you want. All right. I can sit there and say I'm gonna wear short shorts and fucking tank tops, but that doesn't change the fact that it's fucking snowing outside. And so when I go outside, I can't complain that I'm cold.
Mm-hmm.
You can completely control what you do, but you can't control the environment you're in. Adapt to your environment.
Yeah. He's a victim of stupidity, but I won't necessarily, like I said, I will never ever. If someone want to choose to purchase something as meaningless as a $20,000 gold chain, if it's a custom gold chain, that's really stupid. But if it's a straight up gold chain, hey, gold has value. So shit, like, it has value.
How you gonna say shit? But guys, how you gonna say shit meaningless and then say that too?
I said if it's a custom,
it meant something for him.
It depends. It depends.
And it wasn't stupid. He just did what he wanted to do.
Yeah, he did what he wanted to do. You know what I mean? But I think what it truly is a victim of stupidity in a sense of, like, not knowing your environment. Like, unfortunately, it is like you can't be in. I don't even know what's the average income in Detroit. $20,000.
Damn.
Hold on, look it up, Cal. I know you the researcher. What's the average income?
Come on, research, dude. That's crazy. 20,000.
Really, he's a researcher. All he gotta do is, hey, Google.
The answer is about 27,800.
27,000. So basically, you didn't got more than 2/3 of someone's whole annual income around your neck.
Yeah.
Somebody done said, my rent is paid for the next 2 years.
Exactly. That's the stupidity. It's just like, come on, fam. Like, you're not thinking. You can have nice shit, but you got to, like you said, you just got to know your environment. Does your environment allow you to have those nice shit? You know?
Yeah. That's the part that sucks. Nigga, like, because of where I live, I can't buy what I want.
It is what it is, bro.
It is.
Shit, there was a story where I never forget when flat screen TVs first came out. There was a story where this dude bought a flat screen TV. He was in his backyard with his toddler son. Dudes came in his house, murked him right in front of his toddler son, and they stole the TV. Like, yo, you can't be in the hood, and he was in the hood. I think he was in New Orleans. So it was just like, you can't be the first one with nice shit in your community. You gotta let a whole bunch of nice. You gotta let if you're the first one on your block with a Mercedes Benz, that's a problem. But let like 7 motherfuckers on your block have Mercedes Benz. That's when you can feel like, okay, I could buy a Mercedes Benz now. Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I don't care if you are the first or the 20th motherfucker to come in your house with a flat screen TV. When you move in, you better put a blanket over that shit and make it look like a crib bed, a bassinet or something. Everybody know that rule. Like, you don't move. Like, everybody know when you move all your furniture, all right, in the truck. And then all the electronics and stuff, you move that shit in your car in the middle of the night when nobody around.
Well, I think what he should have done, because he just bought this shit, I think he should have. The one trick that I remember learning is when you buy some nice shit, you take the box and you throw it at a dumpster somewhere else. Never put the box in front of your house.
Outside of your house, yeah.
Right outside of your house. Never do that shit. I've always learned, like, at a young age. I don't know who told me this or where I picked this up from, but it was something I remember just learning. That, whenever you get some nice shit, never have that box sitting in front of your house. Just
unless
take that box.
Apartment building.
Yeah, unless you live in an apartment building.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I never heard that one before.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Henry, you ain't never heard that one?
No, I'm trying to think. The only house I really lived in, this is the only house I lived in the hood.
You leave that 70-inch screen TV box out there if you want. come home that 70 years.
Yeah, I leave a
ain't gonna
70-inch
be
box
no more.
TV out front. Niggas come and break up my house, be disappointed as fuck. Like, where the 70-inch at?
But the
Like,
problem is,
that
what's up,
motherfucker
Smith?
just had the box.
Y'all
Bruh,
seen my
Henry,
TV.
they know
that
your
until I
house
was-
will have that 70-inch TV. Look how your landscaping is, bruh.
Yeah, exactly.
Your landscape is a good giveaway that say like, yo, this motherfucker has to have some nice shit.
I guess so. All right,
Yeah.
fellas, I'm giving this book a 4 out of 5 because I got 2 minutes left. I like the fact that it was short. Not, I'm fucking with you. I do like the 4 out of the 5 though. I like them little anecdotal stories how my man told. A lot of times when, like, if it's a book that talks about, oh, I'm going to teach you how to do X, Y, and Z, because I know he gave, like, a couple strategies or whatever, I'd be feeling like, damn, go ahead and get to the point. But I didn't really feel that way with this one here. And I know that this book was it was probably like the average length of books that we read, maybe a little bit shorter, but I felt like the time was going by. You know, the time went by fast. And I just found myself doing a Schubert on a couple of them, listening to one of the, a couple of the chapters more than once. And like the fact that it did kind of change my mindset as far as just, approaching certain things. Like now when I walk with my dog, I got 1 earphone in instead of 2. So, just being more conscious that way.
So what's
Good job, Bradley.
What's the con though? What's the one knock that you have against it? Because clearly you didn't give it 5 out of 5, so you gotta have one negative feedback.
I don't know. I think I still feel like the only thing that I'd be missing is outside of just the I'd still want like a sign. Like, there's certain things to look for. I think that's the only thing I might have been missing. But I guess with the whole asocial, you really can't tell. Yeah. Other than that, I don't know. The only other thing I know,
you stabbing you to death.
Exactly, Smith.
Like the only other thing. I mean, I don't even necessarily know that it's a knock on the book. Just that whole mindset is like, yo, in order to fucking protect yourself, you gotta put in your mindset like, yo, I gotta be ready to either go to jail or ready to die. Like, nigga, I ain't ready to do either one.
Well, that's your choices.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, you may not be ready for either one, but either you're going to make the choice or someone's going to make the choice for you.
Or you can run.
Well, the thing
that's it. That's granted saying that you have the space and the opportunity to run.
Exactly.
Don't forget that there was a guy that got robbed, gave him everything he had, and then after that, they still came back home and stabbed him to death.
Because he saw their faces. Exactly.
Yeah, I remember that.
So don't think it's either his thing. You can either be a drifter or you could be, what's the other one?
Non-drifter, like the Napoleon Hill. Look at him.
Yeah. It's either you're empowered or you give away the power. That's the two choices.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground. You're looking for a middle ground. There's no such thing. It's do or die.
Yeah. Do or die. There is no try.
I don't know. That ain't in every situation, though, man.
That's in every situation, bro.
That's not in every situation. Every nigga who robs you ain't trying to kill you.
I'm not
no,
sure
Smith,
about
you
that.
can't say that. Every nigga who trying to rob you is trying to kill you. So a nigga walks up and says,
but he can though.
But here's the thing.
If you approach
back to the dads, the hockey dad, was he trying to kill the coach or did he end up killing the coach?
Exactly.
Yeah, I understand that.
They're not trying to doesn't mean the fact it doesn't happen. The same thing happened with the girl. The girl who was saying to the guy, "What you gonna do? Shoot us? What you gonna do? Shoot us?" The guy probably wasn't gonna do it, but guess what ended up happening?
She antagonized him enough to the point. Yo, that story pissed me the fuck off.
That's what I said.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm glad you brought that story up because I was annoyed hearing that shit. But yeah.
No, I get that point, but every nigga, I still don't feel like every nigga who robs or commits a crime is trying to kill somebody.
Not
but they can.
It ends up happening.
It ends up happening. Exactly. They can.
Yeah, but sometimes it don't. Sometimes niggas change their mind. That shit ain't just in the movies.
Okay.
And you're going to take the chance with your wife in the house to see if that's the time?
Well, no. I mean, if somebody's
No,
If
exactly.
That's a
You
good
just
one,
answered the
Smith. Yeah,
question,
answer it,
bruh.
Cal.
Like
Answer
you
it.
just answered it. You just answered it.
No,
No.
well, that's a scenario where okay, I feel like my life might be threatened. But if I'm walking, so like before reading this book, y'all never heard of the concept of okay, if a nigga has a gun or a knife on you and you walking down the street and they pull that shit out and they ask you for whatever, give me your chain. You ain't never heard niggas just say, okay, just get a shit to him. Just get a shit.
Yeah,
Okay,
I've heard that. I've heard that.
So now with this book's logic, they're saying
I've
don't give it to him. Like
I've
be
had
ready.
a knife pulled on me.
Nah,
and I punched the nigga in the face with the knife. So
Tim Larkin didn't
he's pulling
say
the knife.
don't comply.
I'm different. I'm saying I'm not going with that shit, bro. Nah, at the end of the day, you don't know what the motherfucker is capable of, and that's what you got to be prepared for. You don't know what the motherfucker is capable of, and they could not be trying to kill you. When Haas got stabbed, motherfucker wasn't even trying to stab him. Stabbed him once, thought he wasn't stabbed, so stabbed him again. Like, come on, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? It doesn't mean that they could be trying to. You don't know. But are you willing to risk that? Are you willing to put your life and your wife's life on the line because you're unsure that this
See, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like if a nigga's robbing, like I get the whole, like even with them videos, niggas is attacking you. But if somebody's robbing you, I feel like the average nigga who has their face covered up, if they're asking for your chain and you give that shit to them, they're leaving you alone.
And like, how many times that happened in a book that we just read?
Well, I don't know how many examples there was when niggas was robbing niggas. It just seemed more like confrontation.
Remember the example in the book? They robbed him.
But they saw his face. They saw his face. That's different. I understand that. I get that part. But the average dude ain't robbing somebody with they freaking without showing their face. Most of the examples that they gave in the book was confrontation. Niggas who's at the bar, yo, you gotta go. Niggas with road rage fighting a nigga. A dude stole somebody's car and he ran up on them and ended up shooting them. A person who was like, I don't know if the nigga was.
Wait, hey Henry, have you ever been robbed?
No. Well, I mean, when I was younger. I was like 10 years old. This 17-year-old nigga pushed me off my bike and stole my shit. Does that count?
That was a robbery.
Okay, so then
it was called the strong arm robbery, actually.
So then yes.
That's called the strong arm. I don't use nothing but my physical stature to take your shit.
Now I understand the whole concept of being ready in certain situations. Like even them examples from the videos. You have to be ready with dudes rolling up on you. But if you comply and not saying, sometimes you do gotta feel like the suck. Would the manager have gotten punched in the face if they had a serve my man in the store? It's not like, oh well, you served my man and he still punches you in the face. No, I'm confronting them, and then that's where the issue comes from.
Okay, but now you open the door to be a repeated victim.
Well, no. See, now, let's say I get robbed and I wasn't prepared. That's when I take Tim Larkin's stance and it's like, all right, I'm going to make sure this shit don't happen again and now I'm going to be ready. So when the dude rolls up, now I'm on my shoe shit and I got my knife.
Yeah, but the whole thing is, the point is you never know when that time may come and you may not get a second opportunity.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, but okay.
Because at the end of the day, this person is in the mind state of I'm ready to go to jail.
So then why didn't this dude have more examples of those innocent situations?
So wait, I got a question. I got a question for you, Henry. So a guy is running up in your house and he's
see that's different. That's different.
Wait. That's different. Okay, on the street, a guy approaches you on the street and he's going to rape you. You're going to comply and let him rape you?
No.
He'll let you live.
No. See, that's no, bro. Ain't the same thing as giving. Okay, I'm sorry. What I'm saying,
it is the same thing.
No, when I'm saying giving him what he wants, I'm talking about you asking for a physical object, like homeboy who.
Yeah, your ass is the physical object, bro.
No,
what are you talking about?
No, I'm not. No, I ain't letting that happen.
At the end of the day, if Kel's comfortable with taking that chance of saying, "Hey, let me take the chance of giving this guy everything he wants," and maybe he, even though I'm giving him all the power and the decision whether or not to take my life, maybe he'll be merciful. You know, maybe he'll be merciful.
I hear you.
So the
message, I'm like, I don't know what neighborhood you lived in, Kel, but
Yeah,
the
maybe
message,
he'll be merciful.
okay, so the message to your mother and your daughter and your wife: if you're walking down the street and a nigga asks you, tries to rob you for your purse, fight that nigga. That's the message you saying.
The message is, if somebody pulls a gun or a knife from you, they are threatening your life. Someone becomes an immediate threat to your life, you take theirs. Period.
That's the message.
That's the message. You take their life.
Yeah, I don't know.
If they're willing to take yours.
I don't know. Maybe a gun. Maybe a gun. I don't know if a nigga pull a knife on you and talk about give me your
Did I not just tell you?
Give me your bag.
You only need to slice 5 locations in the body, or 6 locations.
Actually, a knife could be more fatal than a gun, Cal.
You will bleed.
Yeah, for real.
You will bleed out so damn fast.
Yeah, I'd rather be shot than being stabbed up with a knife, bro.
I get it. So now, with that logic, why were there not more examples of that in the book? You get
his point
he was
of the
talking
book.
about his clients. He was
Yeah.
talking about his clients and people that, and a few stories. Whole thing is, you want more stories? Go to a cop in New York.
No, I don't
and
even need.
Ask them how many people have survived being robbed. All right, a city like Newark that actually celebrated a couple years ago that they went through one day without not one homicide.
Yeah, but
they celebrated how many years it's been since they gone one day without a homicide.
Yeah, but majority of them homicides. I mean, can you look and say that majority of those homicides were robberies? Niggas giving they shit up and motherfuckers still shooting them. Niggas giving their shit up, niggas still stabbing them.
I'm talking about somebody threatening your life. It doesn't necessarily have to be a robbery.
No,
you make it only in the sense of robbery. You're talking about people that will kill somebody over, he cut me off in traffic.
Okay, so if somebody breaks into my house, I'm not going to give them what they want. Like, that's something different. Because then it feels like, okay, you know what? These dudes, if you're going to break into somebody's house, not really knowing the whole situation, you may obviously, there's a chance you may know who lives there because you could, be watching them, but you don't know what they have in their house. That to me says, you know what, this nigga's down to do whatever fucking happens if he's willing to break into somebody's house. When you walking down the street and you see a nigga who got a purse, or chick, or maybe a dude nowadays, whoever, somebody who got a purse. And you assess the situation. This motherfucker's alone. They have a purse. I'm going to rob them, but nigga, I'm not killing them. I don't think in that situation it's like,
I think Kel. I see where Kel's coming from, because in the book he did talk about there are instances of robbery that are social, and there is a fine line where you got to take violence and non-violence measure. You just got to be able to assess the situation for what it is in that moment.
Like that's a 50-50. My whole thing is,
you just got to be able to assess the situation.
My whole thing is, in any scenario where someone threatens my life, I'm taking theirs. I don't care if they're a 12-year-old kid talking about he's gonna rob me, if it's a 30-year-old dude breaking into my house, if it's a female with whatever. As long as you have threatened my life, you've already made yourself my enemy, and I'm going to kill you. That's just the bottom line. I'm not taking a chance on a 50-50 that my life is the one that ends up. I'm going to end up 6 feet under. I'd rather end up in jail and alive than end up 6 feet under and like, I thought they were going to. No, fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Ain't no coming back from death. I can come back from jail. I can come back from the hospital. Can't come back from death.
Sure, but when you die, you coming back as a butterfly, nigga.
Oh shit, a monarch butterfly too.
One of them little colorful shits.
And I'm a shit on your head in your oatmeal.
He dropped off, so he didn't even get that.
He said I'm a shit on your head.
Kel dropped off. He made his comment. He dropped off in a heartbeat. All right,
he does it all the time.
Who's up next with their rating?
That's a tricky one for me. I give it a 4 out of 5. Only because it reminds me of everything that I kind of already know, and remind me of things that just kind of keeping my ABCs of the world. It just kind of put me back on point with certain things. I give it a 4 out of 5. Not a 5 only because it didn't really rock my world in a way I'm just like, wow, that completely changed anything I understood or knew.
Mm-hmm.
That makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense.
It didn't really change anything for me. It's like, this is all, even when he was going into dynamics of how to shift your weight and how to follow through with your weight.
Yeah.
That's what I do every day, teaching people how to, punch and how to hit. Even when he was talking about like the liver shot, like if you notice, Cash, like when I do a body shot, in my class, I always do it on my left side. I'd never do it on my right side because that's where the liver is. And the whole thing is that knowing my anatomy, I know the fact that I'm safer doing that body shot when people throw, in case they happen to miss, that I'm not going to get hurt.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing is, it's like, and I always tell you guys, like, bend your knee, tilt your hip, use your waistline. Don't use your arms. Using the force of your arms will never give you devastating blows. You have to be able to actually shift your hips and turn your hips into that punch for it to be a devastating blow. But if people just use their arms and try to muscle through it, yeah, you're going to get gassed out. You're going to burn out, and
you could throw your shoulder out.
Yeah, you could do so many things wrong. Yeah. And and the whole thing is, you remember when I teach people how to fight, I teach them how to fight in 3-piece combinations: jab, jab, cross, hook, cross, up, hook, right. I teach them 3-piece combinations because if you can't get it done in that 3-piece combination, you're not using it effectively.
Yeah.
And that body shot that he talked about with Bernard Hopkins and Oscar De La Hoya, that was a great point. I remember seeing that fight. Bernard Hopkins did that to Oscar De La Hoya. Arturo Gatti did that to, goddamn, what's the name of this dude? Something with an L. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But that body shot, can change a dude's world. You crack that 2 bottom ribs, it makes it hard to breathe. The pain is like excruciating. If you hit that liver, the pain that shoots through there is fucking excruciating. So it's just
Atara Guy versus Mickey Ward.
Yes.
That fight was legendary. My bad. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. But the whole thing is the fact of, knowing how to place your punches and knowing how to fight is a science. And most people are not that well targeted. But if you could teach them, hey, here are the weak points of the body: the knees, the groin, the throat, the eyes. If you could teach them how joints work, if you could teach them how the joints work, how to get out of a chokehold, how to get out of, get out of harm's way. Then the other thing he was talking about was, falling. Anybody who studied martial arts or any type of MMA or fighting, is one of the first things they teach you how to do is how to fall. Mm-hmm. Because if you fall to the ground the wrong way, you can crack your skull, you can injure your shoulder, this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? And knowing how to fall is another skill that people need to have. So I thought it was a really well put together book. And the only thing is, it's like, because he can only explain it via words, it's not going to have the same effectiveness as actually being able to demonstrate it. That's the only thing. But it was a good book.
Yeah. You want me to go, Smith, or you want to go out?
Oh, I go. Shoot. Yeah, I give it a 4 also. I actually enjoyed it, but to piggyback off what Black Zeus just said, I would love to have been able to see it, to visualize the whole, take your left hand, put your left hand out, bend it to the right, then bend it to the left, and then try it with this shoulder and that. You know what I mean? I do understand what he was saying, and I get all that, but that would have just rounded it off to a real 5 for me. But I enjoyed it. Like, it was a great week. He said what?
Come to my gym. I'll teach you how to do it. Hey, a couple hours of me and Theus, you'll learn how to put somebody down.
That whole thing. But I enjoyed it though. It was a good read, man. Great selection.
Yeah, I'm going to sound repetitive to just piggyback off of what you just said, Smith. It's a 4 out of 5. I think when they got into that last lengthy chapter when he was just talking about the human anatomy and the joints and ligaments, and he was just going through the process of how to disable somebody. I need a visual. Like, I was like, I could see it because, I have a wrestling background and I have taken some jiu-jitsu classes, but it was just something aspects when it comes to like the, certain ligaments and joints when he was talking about I couldn't necessarily put it together. So I decided to YouTube some of his stuff, and I went down the rabbit hole of a lot of YouTube videos that evening. But yeah, it was really good. I think for this book, it needs to come with like a video package of like what he's taught so far. But I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. I did take away, for me, I did learn something, and this was proposed in Schubert's question in regards of, had my mind changed on anything, is the whole, hey, think like a criminal, not in a sense of acting like a criminal, like going out there and committing crimes, but like, when he was talking about the prison situations and how these guys be in jail, just learning how to stab a motherfucker correctly and shit like that. Like, just that whole constantly in training to be a dangerous weapon yourself. I think that's something that I know, but I tend to forget at times. And then to the precision that he talks about how criminals constantly do it, I really, it's something that makes me realize like, I got to stay in that mental shape and that physical shape. So yeah.
Honestly, I don't like the words think like a criminal. I think more like think like a survivor. Because that's what those criminals are trying to do. They're trying to survive.
Yeah. Either way, just think in that mindset.
Because that's the thing. Is like I think that people are not understanding the mindset. It's I think Kel is still stuck in this mindset of like
of the law. That trips me out.
Law, and I can go to jail and this, that, and the other. And this is why I say like all that shit is imaginary.
Yeah.
The criminals know that shit is imaginary. All right. The cop's badge and his authority is imaginary. It's not a real authority. He is still a human being. That's why this dude was able to stab a cop and shoot a cop, you know what I mean, and beat the shit out of a cop. Regardless with the gun and the taser, and they're still freaking human. They're not superhuman. They're not gods. So the whole thing is, it's like you got to think like a survivor.
Yeah, like in this book, the two most gruesome killings were the females, because and in both situations, the females had some level of authority. Like you got the one cop early on, the officer Jess, in that pullover where the suspect had his daughter. She got beat to a fucking bloody death almost, and she was in a coma. And then you got the other female cop that was, got her head severed. I think a lot of times people don't think like, yo, you got to go to that extreme. And for Kelvin to think about the law in that situation, that's fine. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, they killing the law, basically.
Yeah, just like,
shit.
Why is my mind going to the law? Like, I'm not thinking about Bill 19 section 7 something. I'm not thinking
about survival.
Listen,
survival. I'm not thinking about no law. I'm in survival mode.
Yeah,
I'm in animal instinct mode at this point.
Listen, Tupac said it best. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 8.
Yeah.
I mean, but the whole thing is those of us that's such law-abiding citizens that we can't think about our own safety. We think about our societal rules more than our own survival and safety. Like I can't fathom that shit.
Yeah.
I can't fathom that shit. But then again, you know what? I'm a different breed. Because like I was told a long time ago, comfort is an illusion.
Well, I think honestly, and Smith, you asked a great question in regards of have you been a victim of violence? Kellen being telling the story of him getting his bike stolen from at 10 years old. I don't know if that counts so much. I think when you like it counts, but like
but not
I don't think
that level.
Not to the level where you need to think about violence. Like, okay, someone much older than me then took my bike. I'm talking about like when you like physically been harmed, like how you've been harmed, how I've been harmed, by how Black Zeus been harmed. I think when you've been physically like scarred, like even the young petite chick Bonnie, you know what I mean? It was just like she wasn't thinking about violence until she got fucking beat the fuck up, and then when she thought she was going to be fucking beat the fuck up again, She was just like not. She was like, this shit ain't going down. I think once you experience that level of violence, I don't think those people think about the law. I think, unfortunately, for some people, they got to experience violence. Not trying to say you wish of violence upon their doorstep, but you know where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah, I know what you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like that person that says, you know, oh, this person that I fell in love with is perfect. They'll never break my heart because they never been through heartbreak. Oh, our relationship is different. It's like, really? So everybody else did, you know, experiences heartbreak and relationships falling apart, but you're special. And that's the thing. It's like, it's that I'm special mentality.
Yeah.
It doesn't apply to me mentality. And it's just like, okay, you know, okay, like, listen, you know, I'm here to tell you, I've been through it back and forth, and ain't nobody special.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody special. You know what I mean? Especially, and here's the thing. It's like some people say, well, shoot, it's easy for you to say you have, you know, this type of background, and look at you. You're a big 6'1", 2 something dude. Two things. One, you can't just look at me and know what my background is. And two, me being my size makes a person think I'm more of a threat, which makes them think they really got to go hard at me.
Yeah.
All right. Which makes them think they really got hard at me. Because I told you about, you know, I've been in a situation where it's been 1, 2, 3 dudes, and they all got put down until it was 8 dudes. Then I ended up in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's when you encounter that level of violence is when you really take shit seriously, and you, like you said, Zeus, like, you realize this shit is imaginary. They didn't give a fuck about your life in that situation.
Not at all.
They didn't give a fuck about your life.
Yeah, even you, Smith. They didn't give a fuck about your life. They didn't care whether or not you went to the hospital and survived.
Dude, it was the first time I ever ended up face down in the pool of my own blood.
Yeah, like even me, man. Like having them niggas like crack my jaw, lacerate the inside of my cheek and shit, damn near fracture my ribs. Like they didn't give a fuck whether or not my head, like I was like near the side of a glass door. Like they didn't give a fuck if my head probably could have slammed against that shit, severing my neck and stuff. They didn't, like, yo, it is what it is. Like when you encounter that level of violence and you realize like, yo, these motherfuckers inflicted this much harm to me, that's when you really take on a different perspective. Like you're just like, all right.
That's why I said, like, yo, I don't understand. If it's a 50-50 gamble, you're gonna gamble on that this person might show you mercy? Yeah. Really? All right. Well, I don't know what neighborhood you grew up in.